Welcome to episode 456 of the AM/PM podcast. This week I've got a double for you. I've got two amazing ladies, Angie and Alayne, that are on the podcast. They are not selling in e-commerce just yet. They're in the process of getting launched and will be launching soon. But we're going to talk about their journey because a lot of you probably listening to this maybe have not started selling, or maybe you got someone in your family who's like, hey, I got an idea for a product. I would like to get something going. And I think they're going to get some good ideas from this and get some inspiration from these two ladies that are doing something that's needed. There's women that need this product. They see the need. They see a gap in the market, and they're going for it. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Alayne and Angie.
Welcome to the AM/PM podcast. Welcome to the AM/PM podcast, where we explore opportunities in e-commerce.
We dream big and we discover what's working right now.
Plus, this is the podcast where money never sleeps, working around the clock in the AM and the PM.
Are you ready for today's episode?
I said, are you ready? Let's do this. Here's your host, Kevin King. Kevin King.
This week on the AM/PM podcast, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, I've got a double dose of two amazing entrepreneurs I just recently met, Alayne and Angie. How are you ladies doing?
We are doing so great. Thank you so much for having us come on your podcast. We are really excited to be here.
Yeah. I'm happy you guys are here. Now, you guys, I met you at an event back in May and in Fort Lauderdale, and I met Alayne first, I think, and then she was telling me her story, and then she said, hey, I got this amazing business partner. I've partnered up with Angie. And I was like, you guys got to come on the podcast because I think it's a pretty cool story what you guys are trying to do. So but before we get into that, let's just get a little bit of background on who you are. Like, Alayne, who are you? What's your story?
What's my story? Well, I'm a jack of many traits. I started as a ballroom dancer, and then later on in my life, I was diagnosed with severe scoliosis, put in a body brace for 5 years, and then later on, after doing Dancing with the Stars, winning a mirror ball trophy with my college league team, I was required to have a major surgery because I had to fight for my life. The scoliosis was so bad, it was about to puncture a lung. And I decided that I wanted to continue living. And so I had a major surgery. I fused from the top to the very bottom of my spine. And the doctor said I wouldn't be dancing ever again. And I was able to surprise them by coming back to the floor after learning how to walk, roll over, everything all over again after the surgery. And I won my world championship. So I just kept dancing my guts out as much as I could. And even though it just looked different, it felt different, I just loved what I did. And I just wanted to keep expressing that love and joy to other people. And it's ironic that I am now in this field working with this incredible business partner, Angie, because she developed this incredible line that falls right in line with what I do in my life. Angie, do you want to explain a little bit about the company?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Angie McFarland, and I have started a company called Pulse Body. We are pre-launched, but we are super close to getting this product out. And it all started with my daughter, actually. I'm a mom of 6 kids. I've been a stay-at-home mom, but I've always had a passion for business and entrepreneurship. And my daughter does competitive dance, and she's entering puberty. And so I was trying to prepare for this and prepare her for this. And so I was finding period products for her and, getting little packages ready. And I went to go and put one in her bag for school. And I went to go put one in her drawer. And then I went to go and put one in her dance bag. And I realized dancers don't wear underwear. And I had kind of determined that period underwear was the best place for her to start. Being a young girl and just, trying to navigate this for the first time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what are her different options? And there are not a lot of options. Basically, these young girls just have to go straight to products like tampons, and that's really intimidating for somebody who is young and, cycle isn't regular and all of this stuff. So at that point, I was like, okay, there's got to be a better solution to this. So I started looking into it and asking other people, and everybody was like, yeah, they just have to do this. That's just what you do as a dancer. And I was like, well, I'm not going to settle for that. And so I wanted to see if there was any leotard out there that incorporated period or incontinence liners in them. And I did find one. It was really ugly and really basic, and something that I knew my daughter would never wear. But I started talking to other people about it, and they were like, that is such a good idea. Somebody should do that. And I was like, yeah, somebody should do that. And then it struck me that, hey, I can do this. And so I started looking into it and kind of just started researching the whole idea, and realized that even as a grown adult, I suffer with leaks and embarrassment, and you're not always sure when you're going to start your cycle or how heavy you're going to be. I have 6 kids, and so I have incontinence issues when I sneeze or when I do a heavy workout. And so these are things that affect women of all ages throughout their life, and we've just always dealt with it. We have ways of dealing with it. I'll stop my workout and I'll go to the bathroom, or
survival skills, right?
Whatever.
We do our best.
We wear tampons, or we do what we have to do, but they're insufficient. And there's so much better technology out there now with the period liner technology, where it's odorless, it's comfortable, it's very thin. You can just throw it in the wash just like any other garment, and it comes out clean. And so I was like, well, why not? Why aren't we putting these into garments for women so that we don't have these embarrassing moments, throughout our lives in any stage of our life? So anyway, that led me to Alayne, and it was actually just a really cool story of how we met. But I was looking for somebody to help me with my social media marketing. And I was talking to the editor of Utah Business Magazine, which is where we're from. And she said, well, hey, you should talk to my friend Alayne. She does, she was, after her dance career, she was an art director, and does amazing things in social media marketing and photo shoots and, all of that kind of stuff that I needed help with. And I was like, great, I'll look into it. And so when I went to go and look her up, I realized that she was a professional dancer, which is what we're starting with. We're starting with a line of dancewear. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. So I reached out to her and kind of told her the idea, and we just really clicked. And dealing with her scoliosis and her physical disabilities, she's had a lot of issues around this. And so she really connected with the product. And so we've decided to go ahead and start this line of athletic wear that incorporates period and incontinence liners, and is just custom tailored to the female body, because the female body is completely different than the male body. And for years and years and years, a lot of clothing line have focused on male needs, and they've not really focused on female needs. And so we want to change that conversation. We want to create something that, like I said, is just completely customized for females, whether they're 2 years old all the way up to 90 years old, whether they're going through menstruation or menopause or they're pregnant. We want to create a line of clothing that is going to fit their body and all of the unique needs that we have.
So is this something that's possible now because of technology? Is it kind of like, in the sports area, there's the what do they call that, wicking or whatever, that's, helps absorb the sweat stuff. Is this a technology thing? Or Alayne, is this something you grew up as a dancer since a young child? Is this something that just never existed and you just had to deal with it? Or is it tech? I'm surprised that no one's ever at least addressed this, and it's just been like a little old wives remedy kind of thing to deal with it.
Absolutely has. And in my career, it was just a matter of like survival skills, and we had accidents, and it was just like, well, the show must go on. So it was just, we kept going, and there was embarrassing moments where I'd have some leakage or I'd have things falling out, and I'm just like, I can't do anything about this. It's just part of being a woman, and something that we just kind of tried to hurry and scurry and push under something else and not talk about it,
So and you just have to use costuming or darker color clothes or something to try to mask it or something?
Wear, it was always black clothes, always black clothes. And now the trends are starting to change. We're wanting to wear brighter colors. We want to be a little bit more expressive. Like, whoever thought that we could wear white? And developing this type of style or this type of pattern for dancers, we can wear white anytime, any sport, and we're never like being withheld to like perform or look our best.
So these are super tight dance wear, because dancers a lot of times, sometimes it's tight, sometimes it's more of like a mini skirt or dress and it's loose fitting. So is this something that goes underneath the outer outfit, or is it part of the outer outfit?
No, we are actually going to be incorporating it into all different kinds of garments. You can put them in tights, and there are a couple of companies who've started doing that. But usually we're talking about leotards, we're talking about dance shorts, but we're also expanding into other shorts. So runners buns, if you think about the Olympics, the women were wearing what almost look like leotards in this last Olympics, Summer Olympics, or they wear what's called a runner's bun, which is just a teeny tiny, it's basically like a bikini. And the reason for that is it's most conducive to their sport. That's what helps them run the fastest, less friction. And there's not really room for accidents in those, right? Like if you have an accident, it's very noticeable. And you're not going to be wanting to wear a bulky pad or whatever. So it's an issue for these athletes. And, you think about cycling too. Cycling, they can't wear underwear, right? Because it's gonna bunch and it's gonna chafe and all of that kind of stuff. So there are many, many sports where females and males don't wear underwear because it's not conducive to their sport. And with males, it's not as big of an issue. With females, we leak. We do all kinds of things all day long, all throughout our lives. That's just how our physiology works. And it is a technology thing because this didn't really exist in the past, but with this new period liner technology, it is phenomenal. And I've been learning so much about fabrics. And you're right, there are so many fabrics that are moisture wicking and antimicrobial and all of these things, and they are fantastic. And then the same thing goes with these period liners. They really are clean, they're sanitary, they're safe. Tampons are getting so toxic now. They have so many chemicals in them. They're dangerous. They're starting to find out that it might impact fertility. Mm-hmm. They're just really not a great option for women. And it's better to, and even if you choose to use those products, you can still have accidents. They're not foolproof.
You use your product in lieu of a tampon or in combination with?
You can do it both. You can either do it without or with. We've tested it both ways. It works great. Like I said, it's odorless. It's absorbent, so it's not like you're wet all day or feeling like you're wearing a diaper. And then when you're done with whatever activity you're doing, you throw it in the wash. You wash it. It comes out completely clean. And I've had people be like, "Oh, that's kind of gross," that you would just leak right into your garment. And I'm like, you know what? Women do it all the time into our cotton liners and our underwear. We do it every single day. And this is way more sanitary, way more clean, way more safe than our cotton liners. It's just nobody's really taken that idea and put it into garments yet. They're starting to. Nike's starting to do it a little bit. They're not doing that great of a job. A couple of these bigger companies have started to catch on to the trend, but nobody's really created a brand just based on this concept. So we hope to be the ones to do that.
So why did you decide to actually create your own brand versus taking this? I'm assuming you're probably in the process of getting a patent, or you already have a patent or something on it, and then licensing this to Nike or to Adidas or Reebok or someone that's already in that space.
That's a good question. We actually do have a three-pronged approach that we are planning on doing. So the first one is direct to consumer. Like I said, we're starting with dancewear, and that is traditionally sold direct to consumer. And then we also plan to license the patent. Yes, we're working on getting patents to collegiate and high school teams because they have their own custom uniforms usually. And we don't want to get into that. That's a lot of work. But we do want to be able to license to those kind of costume designers. And then in addition, we want to try and get this into retail in some of the bigger sports stores like Dick's and Scheels and those kind of things. We thought about taking it to these bigger companies. There's always the threat of somebody just recreating what you've done and changing it a little bit, right? Like they don't have to do that. And so we want to create a company that is very female friendly, female empowering. We want to empower these athletes to be able to do whatever they want and not have to worry about what their body is going through.
So how did you actually, was this already out there and you just sourced it, or did you have to go through a whole R&D process to actually do this and do testing? And can you walk me through what you've done on that side of things?
Yeah, sure. We definitely
Alayne's
have
like,
had to develop this product. And that's why we haven't launched quite yet. There's been some hurdles and stuff to overcome, which is fine. I knew it would take a little while to develop it. And also that's a good barrier to entry. Not a lot of other people are doing this because it doesn't already exist. So it is a first mover product. I had to basically decide, are we going to find somebody who does period liners or find somebody who does athletic clothes and then have them merge the two together. And I decided that, that somebody who already has a period liner is probably the best route to go because they know that the product works. And so I found a good manufacturer and said, hey, can we put this into athletic clothing? And they looked at me like I was crazy, like, what do you mean put this into athletic clothing? And I'm like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. And so it's definitely been a process. We've had to test it. We've had to figure out how can we do this and make it seamless? How can we do this and make it beautiful? People don't want to feel like they're wearing a diaper. They don't want to look like they're wearing a diaper. And I think that we've done a pretty good job, and hopefully people will be happy with the product. So.
Right. And it's taken us a little bit extra time. I feel like when someone's developing a product, it's a lot of like going back and forth with a manufacturer and making sure like it looks right. And, we had goals to start launching this earlier, and we're just like, we don't want to launch something that's not quite like what we envisioned. And we want to do a really good job because this is representing something that both of our worlds it's a need, and we want to do very, very good. We want to represent. So
is this something is this US manufacturing or overseas manufacturing?
I mean, that's been part of the problem. So our manufacturer currently is in China, and, this whole tariff thing has kind of thrown us for a loop. So we're currently exploring our other options, and eventually we do want to have our own patent, but it takes a while to develop that. And so right now, unfortunately, we have to rely on somebody who already has a period patent. So that kind of limits the number of manufacturers that we can go to. But yeah, we're exploring our options. We're making sure that we have, multiple suppliers so that we're not stuck if something like tariffs, comes up again, or, if something happens with the period patent that they hold. We want to be able to have that power to hold that patent. And
wait
be
a second,
able to we want.
You don't have the patent. The manufacturer has the patent. Do you have an exclusive with them on this to do it this way, or if this if this takes off, they'll be doing it out the back door, the side door, out the window, and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've tried to protect ourselves really well. We've gone to a lawyer based in China, gone through the Republic of China to try and make sure that this is pretty solid. The manufacturer that we are working with does work with large companies such as Walmart and actually some of the period underwear period underwear retailers. So they're a pretty big company. There's always risks that come with it. Like I said, we are trying to develop our patent. Our patent on our shorts is one that we are kind of holding close, and we're starting production with that in the US because that one is a completely new design. Whereas the leotards are very similar to an underwear that already kind of exists. This is completely new. Nobody's done it this way before. Like I said, Nike's starting to develop a short, but they're not doing it well. We've come up with a much better way to do it. And so we are developing that and kind of keeping that under wraps for now. So that's going to come out a little bit later than our leotards and our dancewear. But yeah, we're trying hard to keep our cards close. And, it is difficult because that's just kind of the world that we live in.
That sounds a little risky. I mean, if there's a Chinese manufacturer and it's a Chinese patent, do they have patents throughout Europe and the United States as well? Or do they only have a Chinese issued patent?
That's a good question. I haven't actually looked into that, but we do have rights to whatever patents we develop with them that we get to own the patents.
Yeah, but if they have a Chinese-based patent, that only protects you in China. It doesn't protect you in the United States. So someone could knock that off in the United States, and if someone were to have a patent or a similar patent or put up a claim, they could actually block all those shipments from coming in from China as well. So patents are not global. Patents,
Right.
all IP is regional. Trademarks, patents, copyrights are all regional. And so that's great that they have it over there. That'll help knockoffs. But China is a knockoff country,
Right.
and so I would be looking into some serious protection. There's up in Seattle. There's a law firm. I could get you the names if you want. They're not cheap at all, but they're the number one in the world when it comes to protecting people in the West from Chinese manipulation. So I don't know how you got your attorney in China, but maybe they're great. But that's something because I think this could be big, and it sounds like it is a huge need. And I think it may go beyond dance and athletics, bicycling, and the other stuff you said, because women may want to wear this every day just to be comfortable around the house.
Oh yeah, or working out.
Yeah, just for working out or just lounging around even, perhaps.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of people knock off, so I would not launch anything until you got that stuff locked in, because it's going to be a painful fight, and you got people with a lot more money and a lot bigger pockets and resources that could come in and just, like you said earlier, I didn't want to talk to Nike or some of these others. They might knock us off. They will. You got to make sure on that. How long have you guys been working on this project? Has it been a little while?
Only since July, actually, of last year. So we've actually been extremely fast for developing a brand new product.
That's good. That's good. So how do you? That's my one piece of advice. There is just make sure that's locked up. Are you guys putting a lot of money into this? Do you have outside investors, or how are you financing all this, or just like taking it from wherever you can grab it type of thing?
Yes, yeah, we are bootstrapping. Just our own money, and I might look into investors further down the road, but I really don't want to do that unless I absolutely have to. So we're hoping to get the product out soon, and hopefully, we've had really good response so far in our marketing, and hopefully it will take off and we'll be able to kind of self-fund. But we're trying to do it as much as we can. So
when you said your marketing, you've had good response in your marketing so far. Since the product's not out, are you taking pre-orders? Or you just kind of put out some social media? Hey, what do you girls think? Would you buy something like this? Or what's been your? I'm assuming, Alayne, that's what you've been doing since you're the social media.
Yes.
What can you tell me? What are you doing now, just kind of to see if there's a product market fit? I mean, there is in your head, but yes. What people say and what people do are two different things. So. What are you doing now to kind of starting a little buzz going?
So right now we're just bringing awareness to the cause. We're just wanting to create some society, some like group that would be willing to share their stories, whether that's like going to the gym, their everyday, their kids' stories, their dancers, they just barely started, or so we want to create a community right now, and that's what we're working on. So I recently just posted we are also doing like BTS videos, behind the scenes, building the product, what we've been working on, maybe some discussions. We'll do a little bit of like awesome podcasts with other people, just bringing really good awareness towards our brand and our product. So when it comes to launching date, we have a good community that is willing to support us and spread the news.
Yeah, I had a Kate. Her name's Kate. She was on the AMPM podcast. I think the episode came out maybe in April, and she had something dealing with a similar type of female issue where when she would have her menstrual cycle, she would have severe pains, and there's products out there that I'm not a woman, so I may be explaining this wrong, but there's products out there that go into the really private parts, not just the general area, but like they touch the private parts that actually apply some sort of heat or something and kind of reduce the swelling, reduce the pain. She's like, everything on the market doesn't fit. It doesn't for lack of a better word, hug the area or whatever. And so she developed a product that just got on her sewing machine. She knows how to sew, and like sewed like 4 little samples and made a prototype. And then she sent this out to like 4 influencers. I'm not exactly sure. She tells a story in the podcast of how she found them, and they posted, "Oh my God, it went freaking viral." She wasn't ready. And someone over the company she worked for someone in the Amazon space, one of the agencies, and they said, "Hey, you need to set up a landing page and an email capture and everything right away, because you're missing a massive opportunity here to get all these people who are interested onto a list, so that when you do have the product, you can go back to them and say, hey, it's now in stock." Because when you send an email for now in stock, it's the most highest converting email of any kind of email period in email marketing, back in stock. And so those typically at least a 6% response rate, not response rate, order rate. So she got that up, ended up with like 3,000 or 4,000 people on the list. When she finally developed the product, she had a list, and then some celebrity singer somehow discovered it, picked it up, and talked about it, and the thing just went crazy. It's a really cool story. But so have you guys? She had never done a business before. Have y'all ran businesses before, or have you started a business before?
I've run smaller businesses on the side, and I am a marketing major, although it was over 20 years ago, so it's been a bit. But my husband has been in business for a long time, and he's helping with the business. Partly, we haven't gone gung ho on the marketing yet, because we are still waiting for some things. So we are waiting for our product to be perfectly developed. We've done some photo shoots and those kind of things, and we don't want to let the cat out of the bag too early. So we are kind of guarding it a little bit. Because we don't want that to happen where we're not prepared, right? Where we don't have product ready to be ordered, and we don't have our website developed and all that kind of stuff. So but all the response that we have gone has been extremely positive, and a lot of excitement around the product. So and word of mouth, we've anyone we talk to about is super excited for this product. So we know there's a need. We know that it's going to be well accepted. Like I said, we're almost to the point where we are ready to really start with a really good pre-launch marketing campaign. We're not quite there yet, but we will. Do you have
prototypes? Have you done prototyping yet? Like actual prototypes that you can wear? So you're past that stage. So
we're refining them. We're in the very end stages of refining our first set of products. So yeah, they're very, very close. Like I said, the tariffs have kind of thrown us for a loop. So we're and like you said, look for different options because we do want to protect it. So we're trying to be patient and take our time and make sure that we have everything in place, because it is a new product. It's a first mover product. We feel like it's going to be a very popular product. So we just want to make sure that we are prepared for, the response that we get. So, yeah.
You said you want it to be perfect for when it launches. That's actually something I would advise against. I would taking your time and doing things right, like you have been, is great. But I think you need to hurry it up because if the manufacturer's out there, and if they know about it, you've talked to some other people in your social circles, you've done a little bit of social stuff, Alayne said, not too much, you're kind of holding back. It's out there. Podcasts like this, it's out there. It's a great idea. The thing that people can't compete with is both of your stories. You both have, Angie, you're a woman, mother of 6, you've done this and this and this, and you had this problem with your daughter. That's an amazing story. You need to triple down on that. And then triple down on Alayne's story too, about how she, as a young dancer, and how she's doing, and the celebrity side of that and everything. Those two things is one of your strongest USPs. So when a Chinese manufacturer knocks you off, which will happen, even if you have a patent, and you're going to have to play whack-a-mole because they're going to keep popping up, especially if you're successful,
right.
Then you're going to have money to fight that, or just not fight it. And it's going to be a pain in the ass. But you need to double down in all your brand. I don't know the name of the product. I don't know how you're doing your marketing, but in your stories, because they can't compete with that. And you need to be truly authentic and truly real. And that's going to help you a lot. But the number one thing to lock up is the IP, the rights. And make sure you got U.S. I mean, if you're going to be launching this in the U.S., that Chinese factory patent may not apply here. And so you need to double down and check on that stuff. But
yeah, that's great advice. Thank you.
So, and there's nothing wrong with once you have that locked in, then go out and start doing the pre stuff and actually start ramping up the buzz and getting people, maybe even if it's a financial thing, maybe I don't know what these are going to cost and what these are going to sell for, but maybe that's one of the things, like you said, you kind of bootstrap and you're like, okay, we got a good product now. Oh my God. How many do we make? Do we make 1,000? Do we make 5,000? How much money do we have? How much can we afford to do? But you'll have an idea of that if you do some pre-launch stuff, and you're actually having a landing page where people can actually get on the waiting list to be the first to get them. Maybe they get a $10 discount, or they get buy 3, get the 4th one free, or something like that on the early bird discount. Yeah. And then you'll have an idea like, oh my God, we put out, Alayne put out 2 posts to her, 80,000, however many, you got a pretty big following on social media. And we had this many people on the list. They're not all going to buy, of course. So a lot of them will flake off. But if even 20% of them buy and you had 10,000 people on that list, okay, you got 2,000 for these plus the extras, and you know how much money you need to get from an investor, how much money you need to put in, and you'll have a better idea on it.
Yeah.
And then one of the things
to the, using our stories, I think that is why we feel passionate about not going to a company like Nike, because we do have these personal stories. We do want to connect with our companies. Or with our customer, and we do want to be authentic. We don't want to just sell out to some big company who basically used and abused women. That's not the mission of our company. Our company is to be authentic. Our company is to be the customer ourselves. We know what's needed. We know what women want, and we want to hold on to that. We want to build a brand around that. So that's
awesome. And you should make sure that's conveyed in any kind of social post you do, or any kind of market, even in the packaging. Even a little label that's on, I'm assuming this is not a one size fits all. These are different sizes, right?
Correct.
Is it the traditional extra small to extra large type of stuff? Or do you have to fit it? Are there many more SKUs because of the different shape of women's private areas and stuff? Or I don't know. How does that work?
So we are starting actually focusing on the teen market, just because that seems to be the biggest need, with regards to period liners, with these young girls who haven't figured it all out yet, and it's a really uncertain time of embarrassment and like, what am I going through? How do I handle this? And so that's what we're really focusing on. So yeah, our sizes are going to run from extra, extra small, probably till extra large. Kind of in teen sizes. And then we hope to branch out to all the way down to toddlers for, kids who still wet their pants occasionally, which happens when you're little, and all the way up to, moms who have kids and just want to go and be able to get through their hour-long workout before they pee their pants, So yeah, we're going to cover all sizes eventually. But like I said, we're starting out with focusing on the teen sizes. So.
Now, you are business partners, or it's your company, Angie, and Alayne's working with you, or your business partners?
We are business partners, yeah.
Okay.
I asked her how she wanted to be involved. I'm like, I can either pay you as just, a contractor, or you can be an influencer for me, or we can do business partner. And she's like, let's partner up. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Great. So yeah, we're business partners.
Yes.
So how did you end up, from Utah to Florida at Steve Chu's Seller Summit? What are you a listener to his podcast? Was that the first event you've been to in the e-commerce space? Or walk me through that.
And when you asked me about the lawyer, I'm actually using the lawyer that Steve recommended with Emerge Counsel, which has been really good to work with so far. So Steve, when I first had this idea, I was like, I don't know how to start a brand. How am I going to do this? Right. And so I did what anyone did, and I went and Googled it and tried to find YouTube videos. And a lot of what I found, I felt like was super inauthentic, right? It was people with the get rich quick drop shipping, you're going to make $1 million in a month kind of a thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's not realistic. And I found Steve and I felt like he was very authentic. You know, he owns his own store. And he does this as a living, but he also seems very genuine and kind. I really respect the people that he brings on his show. So it just really clicked with me, and I started following everything that he did, and I've learned so much from him. So yeah, and then he holds the Seller Summit, and I knew from the get-go that I wanted to attend that, and I'm so grateful that I went. I met so many wonderful people there, and I feel like in an e-commerce business, that networking is huge. You know, I feel like I've had so much help from the people that I've networked with, and people have been so generous to help us and give us, free advice and help. And it's just been really amazing to be a part of this community. So I'm really grateful to everyone out there who's been willing to help us.
Yeah.
So that was your first event to go to, y'all's first event to go to? Okay.
Yes.
Well, first, yeah.
E-commerce.
I mean, yeah, we've attended a lot of events here in Utah locally. But that was kind of the first thing that we flew out to. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Alayne.
I was going to say the same thing. I was just like, I felt like we learned so much being there. I think traveling to different areas, you're going to learn a little bit different stuff than just your own community that you're in. And there may be things that just click a little differently because, you know, even the presentations that were there at the meetings were incredible, and, you know, hearing their experience, sitting at the table, asking them specific questions, and then also making the connections that are the people that are sitting around you. It was really, really enlightening, really good.
I think it helps too, because you really question yourself, right? When you're trying to do something on your own, and some people think you're crazy, and you tend to think you're crazy too. You're like, what am I doing? This is insane. And it really helps to be able to go somewhere and hear people say like, this is an amazing idea. You know, people who've been through the ups and downs and the highs and the lows and have succeeded, to be like, no, like, this is a good idea. Keep going. Don't give up. And so that is so important when you're doing something like this, because it's very lonely to be a founder, right? Like you're trying to do everything on your own, wear so many hats. You're doing a lot of things that you've never done before and just trying to figure it out as you go along. And so to have that network of people who are supportive and believe in you, and have that experience is just so vital. So
what did you, as someone that's new, just hasn't launched their product yet, that's just getting going, and you go to this event, there's a lot of people listening to this that may have this, be in your shoes. Like, I got an idea for a great product. I've been watching YouTube videos. I've been doing this. I'm just so afraid to pull the trigger. What if I lose my life savings? What if it doesn't work out? What if I get embarrassed and I got to tell my family this didn't work out and I had to do bankruptcy, or they have those fears, and then they go to an event like what you guys went to, and they're like, "Oh my God, there's other people like me. This is really cool. I'm not a weirdo. There's other people out here that get it,
I'm
and
not
I don't
the
have
only
to
crazy one.
I don't have to explain anything." And then you start hearing the talks there, which are mixed. There's some things that are a little bit more beginnerish, and there's some things that are a little bit more advanced. So does it confuse you a little bit? You're like, "Oh my God, we're missing this," or "I don't understand what the heck that talk was about." But people were clapping at the end, but I guess I'll watch it again later. What was it like?
Sure.
Walk me through the emotions and the feelings and what you felt you got. You said the networking was great, and that is awesome. But what besides that? What did you get from it?
Well, I
And
think
how did you feel?
the first thing that's so great. There were so many multiple meetings that were happening at the exact same time. And Angie and I both being there at the same time, we both looked at each other like, okay, does this fit our company and what we need for it? Or does it not? Or let's split up and go to different meetings. And I mean, seriously, the funny part, we're texting each other like, how's it going? And it's like, this is over my head. I can't even comprehend how this is going to work for anything. I don't understand. But the great thing about this e-commerce summit is so incredible is that they record everything. So if there's something that you may have missed or not informed, or just like, I don't know as much as maybe I want to in order to understand this language, like, go back. Do your own research, write down the questions, and then, go back and watch the recordings. And then with making the connections with so many people, it's easy enough to just go and make that connection with someone else and be like, hey, what do you think about this topic? I may have some more questions about this and let's chat. Or it's Angie and I are talking and we're both trying to get a better understanding of something. Or it's like on the other spectrum of like, that was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. And it encourages us to be like, yeah, we got this. It's going to be great. No matter what, like it's going to be fantastic.
And I think that you really do have to look at your strengths. I mean, in the beginning, you kind of do everything yourself, but you get to the point where you're like, I don't know how to do this, and that's okay. You don't have to know how to do everything, and you need to be able to recognize that. If you think that you can do everything, you're wrong. And you need to reach out to those who do have that knowledge, or you need to find that help in that area, because trying to do it all is just kind of a recipe for disaster. So,
but how do you do that if you're working on a shoestring budget? So like you just said that, like, hey, I don't know, you have Alayne, she knows some social media and has some good experience there. That's great. You're doing handling the development, the product side. You have your husband that can help you when you have, he's done some business stuff, has some ideas. But when you need to hire out designers or marketing people or law, I mean, how do you work that? Do you just figure it out, or do you bring them on as a little partner, or do you just I promise I'll pay you, I promise I'll
AI is amazing, and if that's a tool that people haven't been using yet, they need to start using it. So I am a very creative person, and I have a really hard time organizing my thoughts. So I have 1,000 thoughts, but to get them organized is really hard for me. So I take all those thoughts, I dump them into AI, and I say, create an outline for me, or create a timeline for me, create a campaign for me. And it organizes it all for me. And then all of a sudden it makes sense and I can continue moving forward. Or, there's so many things now, logo generators and this and that. There's so many tools available that didn't used to exist, that almost anyone can start their own business now with very minimal skills. And also, another thing that we've kind of realized is overseas, there's a lot of help overseas of really intelligent people who are willing to work for less, but still much more than they would make there, right? So you feel bad because you're like, oh, I'm only paying them this much, but they're getting so much more than they would if they would get a job there. And they're fantastic, and they're willing to do the work, and they want to do the work. And so it's finding those kind of partnerships.
So you're using like Upwork and Fiverr for that?
Word of mouth, really. Okay. Yeah. Fiverr, yes. If you need one thing done, like, hey, I need a logo design or something like that. Yes. If you're going to be working with somebody long-term, I would probably go by word of mouth and somebody who's been recommended. Cause I think that's important, right? So you got to be careful. You're not exactly sure what you're going to get, but.
Yeah, there's sites like, I agree with you, Fiverr is more of a one-off hit thing. Upwork is a place, and there's Free Up, there's Philippine VAs, there's tons of these kinds of sites, and that could be in Asia. There's a lot of really good talent in South America, in Mexico, and in Colombia and Argentina particularly. So there's, which is easier because they're on the same time zone. There's tons of agencies that can help with that kind of stuff. And that, you're right, that is a great way to for those listening to actually get things done by, sometimes these are people with master's degrees that are working for $7 an hour. Yeah. And like you said, you're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm hiring child labor or something here. But you're not. I mean, for them, the $7, maybe it's a side job. They got their regular job. But in a lot of cases, $7 an hour is more than they can make, especially like in the Philippines or somewhere, working a normal job. So it actually helps them out, and you can get some really talented people that way that can help. And a lot of times, even your factories, like you mentioned earlier, you're working with your factory, and they're helping do some of the prototyping and testing, and they're hoping that this works out and that you end up placing big orders, and they can see that this could be huge as well.
Yeah, so they've been good to work with. And we also, one other resource I think that is often a missed resource, but working moms. Moms who want to stay home and want a flexible schedule, oftentimes they're incredibly intelligent, incredibly hardworking, can multitask really well, but they have a hard time getting a full-time job, right? Because somebody wants them in the office 9 to 5, and they're like, I want to be home with my kids. That's my priority, but I'm willing to work really hard if I can find something that allows me to do that. And that's one of the things that I really want to do as our company grows, is I want to be able to hire stay-at-home moms who that's really important to, because as an e-commerce business, I have that kind of flexibility. Hey, if you can't do it in the day, that's fine if you do it at night, if that's when you can do it. And I think, there's a lot of women who would be very grateful for that opportunity. So don't ignore that resource. That's a really good resource if you have that kind of flexibility.
I think a lot of those women too would do it for nothing. They would be brand ambassadors, because if you double down on your story and double down on your cause, as you said earlier, women, all the shoe brands ignored women, all this, and women being ignored, and the stories you told, they'd be like, "Gosh dang it, I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to join the cause." I'm like like Alayne said, you're starting community, and I think that's community is, especially in the world of AI, is something that's going to be very powerful. But you don't need a huge community. You get 500 to 1,000 stay-at-home moms in this community, you have a massive ambassador force that when you're ready to launch and ready to, whether it's the first one or it's the 5 years from now, the ninth product you've done, they'll go out there and they'll spread the word. And it doesn't require huge influencers. I mean, it's great that you have Alayne, and she can actually help on that and get things going. But a lot of these smaller influencers are more powerful than the bigger ones, because they're in the little circles of the soccer moms or the dance moms or whatever, and their word can influence 20 people really fast.
Yeah.
And I think you could do grassroots marketing on this that could really blow this up. I think the last place I would go would be Amazon.
Yes, we are actually staying off of Amazon for now. I think hopefully that'll cut down on the copycats and stuff. But, with Alayne, I mean, I love that she's recognized and celebrated as an influencer. But really what I love about her is that she loves the product. She understands the product. This is something that she wishes that she had. And that's what makes her valuable to me. Not the fact that she's a celebrity, but the fact that, she really, really gets the product.
Well, I think the other thing that makes her valuable to you is she's a fighter. So she's not going to, she's committed, she's partnered with you, and she's, based on what she said, she's not one that's going to let this fail, because she's, based on everything that she went through, she's one that does not accept the word no, or the word you can't, or this is not possible.
A fighter, for sure.
So she's a fighter. So you having that on your side is like having Mike Tyson on your side in the ring. I mean, you're gonna be knocking some people out.
Knock some people out.
We are ready to go
out on that. So that's great. So you're gonna start on like a Shopify website is kind of what your plan is now?
Yeah, we have a website. We haven't launched it yet because, like I said, we're still kind of waiting for products. But we do have a landing page. We have an email that you can sign up for on that, and we'll be reaching out to you, making sure that you are updated on that. Our website is www.pulsebody.com, and that's Pulze.
Oh, there we go.
Pulse
Z.
with a Z.
All right.
Pulsebody.com. And yeah, we are going to launch really soon. I can't give a definite time on that, but before the end of summer is up, we'll definitely.
And when you sign up, we're also offering a 20% off when signing up for the first purchase.
Yeah, we're also looking for ambassadors. So if your daughter dances and she would love to be featured and be an ambassador for us, we'd love to have them and send them out some free product to give it a try. So.
Yeah, and we're looking for stories. We're building a community. So if you have a story, if you know other people that have stories, send them our way. We want to hear it all.
So how are you doing your marketing? Are you doing problem solution marketing, Alayne? Like when you're doing the social media posts, are you just posting, hey, is this a problem? We have a solution, or check out these new things. How are you? Because in some of this, it's a sensitive area. And I know that social media is going to be like, nope, you can't say that. You can't do that. You're like, no, we're solving a massive problem here. This is legit. There's nothing this is not some sex porn
and that's
thing.
Part of the problem. Why can't we talk
and then
about
you're going
it?
to children. You got the next issue. What are you coming up with creatively? I mean, an example that I like to give is some people in the supplement space. Obvi is the name of the company, OBVI. And they're really good at some of their social media marketing. They sell fat loss supplements, but they can't advertise fat loss. You can't do body shaming on Facebook. You can't do all that kind of stuff. So what they do is they do innuendos. So they'll take a stick of butter and they'll have a butter and they light it on fire. So the butter's burning. Looks almost like a butter campfire or something burning. And they'll say, Avi melts like butter. And
Love it.
it actually gives it in your mind. You're like, oh, this product, if I take this supplement, it's going to melt my fat off my body like butter, like, like the firewood butter. And so are you coming up with some creative angles like that actually show the problem, and then actually then you show your product, the tights or the shorts or the whatever as the solution, where people will instantly get it and it will pass all the filters that social media has.
Yes, it's definitely been a challenge due to the fact that it is a period liner. But I like a good challenge. And I'm also one of those like comedy type people also. So I like to look things at a different comical route. So I've thought of a couple of ideas and still kind of like brainstorming them. I've thought about like the wine glass dropping on the rug and creating stains, and maybe interpreted that into like the overfill or spill that we have when we're working out, or there's conversations that we have in the locker rooms, and maybe not in public, but maybe we can talk about it even on our social media, or look and style. That's something that's very, very in right now. We talk about like how fashion is important and expressing ourselves, and that's something that goes along with our line as well. And we want people to wear our product wherever they go, and whatever they're doing. So yeah, there's all sorts of different approaches, and we're still coming up with some ideas. And I really like that you brought up this discussion because it starts the wheels going again in my head. So, but yeah.
I think that's going to be the biggest challenge is the creative. But if you can nail that, and AI, like Angie said, can help you do that, nail the positioning, because we all know it's a problem. But it's nailing positioning to actually in 2 seconds when someone's scrolling their feed on TikTok or
what it's about.
Boom! Oh, that's me.
Yes.
In 2 seconds, they got to go.
I don't think it's too hard because every woman
that is
relates.
Me.
Every woman relates. It's very easy.
You have to make them relate though in a way that you can actually advertise it.
Yes,
That's the trick. That's the little trick that you got to do there. That makes it difficult. And with AI analyzing everything that's in your video, everything that you say, it makes it. That's your number one challenge. I think you can do it. But that's your number one challenge.
And focusing on the fact that women can be empowered and feminine at the same time. Like nothing should be able to hold us back, and we should be able to be beautiful and strong all at the same time. And so that's kind of the focus of our marketing, with, the period liner kind of as an underliner. But yeah, we just really want to empower women to be able to feel like they can do whatever they put their mind to. So, and I don't think there's actually a lot of stories out there that we can share, and have started sharing. So things that already exist that we don't even have to recreate, we can just repost, like I said, Allison Felix's story with Seish, and just a lot of things that these people have experienced and have already shared with the world, but there's not a solution, so we can just share that and say, we have the solution to these problems. So
one of the most powerful things you can do in branding and in marketing is create a movement. And so that sounds like, there's been a lot out there of women empowerment and women were strong, we're going to fight back and we have rights too and all that. But you got to figure out how to put your own little hook and twist on that. And I think you're getting there. I think this will evolve as once the product is out there and you can start getting feedback and from the women. And the best thing you can do is use their words. Mm-hmm. So instead of you having to come up with everything, once they get this in the hands of, even if you can get your factory to make 50 of these or 100 of these, even if they cost you $50 a piece and some crazy amount that, when they're normally going to cost $3 a piece or whatever,
get it out.
If you're able to do that, get it in the hands of some people. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily doesn't have to be influencers that are going to start plugging unless you're ready to start building a list of early interest people that you can market to when it comes out.
Yeah, but we have that.
get feedback, because you have your feedback. You have it when you tell your friends and but you don't have someone actually using it, and they will give you words and phrases that
Yeah.
that AI is not going to think of, and you didn't think of. And you're like, oh my God, that's a great way to actually position this. Someone just said something. So if you're able to do something like that while you're waiting, like you said, you're trying to get it out by the end of summer, but I would definitely try to do that. And I think that's going to give you a big, huge plus. And you might pivot a little bit after you see some of what people say. And that way, maybe it's too late to do it in the first product, but now we know what version 2 is going to be. And you're off to the races, and ahead of somebody that's going to copy you. Because once this comes out and people start seeing it, there's going to be copycats.
Yeah.
That's definitely. So where do you guys see yourself in 5 years? Do you want to be in, you said you're doing direct to consumer and the dance. Do you want to just be in dance boutique shops and dance websites? Do you want to be in Macy's? Do you want to have sold this to some big brand for $17 billion and you're sitting on a beach, like Spanx, or something? You want to be the next Sarah Blakely with Spanx, or what?
Yeah.
What's the end goal?
For me, the end goal is to consistently provide value, and if that is through partnering with somebody else, if that's through selling the company, I would love to stay in it as long as possible and be able to continue with our story. Like I said, I don't want to sell out to somebody like Nike. I actually would love to be the next female like Nike, like get out to that level and compete with them. But I don't know. We'll just kind of take it one day at a time. But we definitely want to make this available across the world to all females. That's the ultimate goal. How we get there, I'm sure we're going to learn a lot. I'm sure we're going to make mistakes. I'm sure we're going to have to pivot. But that the goal is to just make this available to all women and to better women's lives across the globe.
So what gives you the courage and inspiration, both of you, to actually to do all the hard work that it takes to do this? What gives you that? When you wake up in the morning, you get excited about this? What is it that drives it?
I know it's a need. I know it was a need in my life. I wish I had it. I think my career, my future would have been actually changed for the good had I had this. And I know that there's going to be other things in my life that I never thought that I was capable of doing now that I have some type of support like this. And that's what I want. That's what we want to create for other people. And if I'm just like, it just makes me so excited to be able to create that type of future for someone else. And that's why I just keep going. That's why I'm not stopping. Yeah,
I think everybody needs to have their why. And I don't think I could ever sell a product where I felt like I was tricking people, My husband had somebody come to him and say, hey, I'm creating this product. This is what it is. And it was basically a scheme. And he's like, do you want in? And we were like, no, we couldn't ever put ourselves or our name behind a product that we don't actually believe in and even feel like it was scheming people. But this is something that I just really, truly believe in. There's so much embarrassment that women face that they shouldn't have to deal with. And there are ways around it. There are improvements. And so there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing this. So that's my why every morning. It makes me excited to get up. It makes me excited to want to do this. And it keeps us going through the hard times, because there are definitely hard times. But if somebody has an idea and they have their why, go for it. That's where the best ideas come from, right? Is from a need. So if you have recognized a need, don't be afraid to go out and do it, because we need more people like that. And we need, less of the Nikes. We need more of these authentic people going out and people who really care and people who want to change the world and make a difference. We need that. So don't be afraid to try.
I agree with you. When you do your passion, you follow your passion, and you try to change people's lives, the money comes later. It always comes when you change young girls, especially, and women of all ages all over the world. When you change their lives, and you just stay with that, and that's your main focus. It's not the money. The money will come. So congratulations to both of you, and I hope this fulfills all your dreams and really makes a difference for millions, if not billions, of women around the world.
Thank you so much. We hope so too.
Yes.
We're doing our best. So thank you so much for having us on and supporting us. We really, really appreciate it.
So if people want to find out one more time, go ahead and tell them how they if they can follow you on social or see what Alayne's doing on social when she starts posting stuff, or go on to sign up on the website to be notified when it's available. Remind everybody on how to do that again.
Yeah, sure. So it's www.pulsebody.com. Pulse with a Z, Pulze. So www.pulsebody.com. And then all of our handles are the same. It's just Pulse Body. So we'd love to have you, hear your feedback.
Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies. Appreciate it.
Thank you
so much.
Angie and Alayne are perfect examples. If you've got a great idea and you see a need in the marketplace and you have a passion and you can create a movement, especially around that, go for it. I think they're going to be highly successful. They're going to have a few roadblocks and a few hurdles to get over along the way, but I think this product is going to be very, very, very successful. So be interesting to come back in a couple years and see where this is at, and maybe get them back on the show and see what the journey has been like. You remember, each one of us has our own journey, and the journey is part of it. It's not just the destination. The journey is where the fun's had. The destination is the pinnacle. So enjoy the journey no matter where you're at in your Amazon business or your e-commerce business. And that journey includes coming back next week and listening to another edition of the AMPM podcast. I'll be back again next Thursday with a brand new episode. In the meantime, if you want to get tips that'll help you along your journey, be sure you're subscribing to my newsletter, Billion Dollar Sellers. That's at billiondollarsellers.com. Every Monday and Thursday, a brand new issue comes out. And plus, you might see some information in there about the Billion Dollar Seller Club as well. Who knows? Anyway, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you again next time.